Hello everyone and welcome back to the next video in this series of SolidWorks lectures. So in this video we're going to be going over how to add dimensions to our drawings and also how to add relations to our drawings. So far we know how to create sketches on planes, but we don't know how to dimension them so they are the right size in which we want them to be in. Let's go ahead and create a new sketch on the front plane, and I'm going to just create something simple. I'm just going to create a line. I'm just going to draw it out like this. So if I grab this endpoint, I'm able to move it around, stretch it out, and rotate it around this origin. So if you look closely at this origin, you're going to see this little green symbol. That's showing that this endpoint is coincident. If you don't see that, then you might have relations hidden. So to unhide things, you come up here to this drop down for the hide and show items. This is where you're able to show and hide different aspects. So if you want to show the primary planes all the time, you can go ahead and select that. I'm going to have it unchecked for now. If you have relations hidden, so you can go ahead and toggle this on and off. I personally like to have it on all the time just because it's good to see what's existing in the sketch. But anyways, so let's see how we can go about fully dimensioning this. So if we notice, this line is blue. That's telling us that we have an underdefined sketch. An underdefined sketch means that it is not fully constrained. In order to fully constrain it, I need to get it to a point where I can't do stuff like this and move it around, stretch it all about. So how do I go about adding in dimensions and relations? So to add in my first dimension, I come up here and I can click on Smart Dimension. This is the kind of dimension tool that you're going to be using most of the time within SolidWorks. You've also got the option to force it into a horizontal dimension, vertical, so on and so forth. But let's just stick with Smart Dimension for now. And I'm going to add a dimension for the length of this line. So I'm just going to click on the line, left click on it, and just kind of drag out like this. And click again. Now I can go ahead and add in the length for this line. So I'm going to make it, let's just say 4 inches. Okay. Now the line is still blue, but now when I go ahead and rotate it around, I can't stretch it or make it longer. I can still rotate it though. So I need to go ahead and add in something else to fully constrain it. So what I can do is I can add in what's called a relation. So let's just say I want this line to lay horizontal and stay horizontal all the time. I can just go ahead and left click on it, and I can go ahead and select the horizontal relation. And now that's going to lock in the line. So now if I hit escape, so hitting escape will allow me to unselect anything that I might already have selected. Escape is your friend. When in doubt, hit the escape button a couple times. So now if we look at our line, it is now fully black, including the endpoints. If I try to move it about, it won't move anymore. So now I've got this little green square here saying that it is horizontal all the time. This line has a horizontal relation on it. If I want to go ahead and remove that, I can just left click on it and hit delete, and now I can go back to rotating it however I want. But let's just say instead of having the horizontal relation, I want to put a vertical relation in. So I'll go ahead and I'll select the line, I'll click vertical, and now I've got this line locked in vertical all the time. So let's keep going. Let's see what other things we got. So let's go ahead and start with a circle. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a circle somewhere out in space right here. So I'll click the circle. I'm able to move it all about. I'm able to grab the endpoint and resize it. Now I need to go ahead and lock it in somehow. I personally like to, whenever I'm making a drawing with based upon a circle, is I like to start with the circle on the origin. So I could have started with this way, but I'm going to go ahead and move it now onto the origin. So I can go ahead and left click on this center point and drag it over the origin, and you're going to notice a little yellow square appearing with the coincident symbol um, appearing. What that's doing is SolidWorks is that it's object tracking. It's trying to guess what kind of relation you might want to have. So if I go ahead and then drop this down here, it's going to automatically populate that coincident relation, and we'll see that more as we do some more interesting sketches. So right now I've got my circle, the center point of the circle coincident to the origin. Now I want to give it some size. So I'm going to click on Smart Dimension, and I'm going to click on the outer part of the circle, and it's going to allow me to add in a diameter dimension. So I'll just left click again out in space, make this 4 inches, and I've got my circle. So let's go ahead and try some other things. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So another way to delete things is if I can left click and just drag over whatever I want to delete, hit the delete button like that. So let's try something else. Let's try dimensioning a rectangle. So I'm going to start on the origin. So the origin is a very very useful when it comes to creating sketches. So that is a locked in 0, 0 point. So whenever you dimension something off it, the origin is always locked into place. So when your sketch is somehow dimensioned off the origin, that will allow you to fully constrain it into place. So let's add in some dimensions. I need to give it some kind of length here. So I could select this line here, or I can also select multiple sketch entities to create a dimension. So let's just say I can click on this line here and this line here, and I could dimension the distance between those two lines. So I'll go ahead and put 3.5 here, and I'll do the same thing from here. And that'll fully constrain my sketch. So automatically included this horizontal relation here and this vertical relation here as well. If I want to go about deleting some of those, I can just left click on this vertical, and I'll delete this one as well. And now I could move it side to side like this. But I'm going to go ahead and put back in those relations, and that'll lock it into place. So let's try dimensioning something that's not on the origin. So let's go ahead and create another rectangle, but I want it to be a certain distance from the origin. So I'll give it some dimensions initially. So let's say 3 here and 6 here. But it's still free to move about. So in order to fully lock it into place on my sketch, I need to dimension it off of this origin. So I could have just made a point coincident with the origin, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to go Smart Dimension. I'll select this line here, and I'm going to select the point on the origin, and I'm going to make this 1 inch. And I'll do the same thing for a vertical dimension. And I've got a fully constrained sketch. So let's try some other things we got. So let's try creating a circle, and let's put in some lines here. Excuse me. I'll put in another line down here. So now I want to go ahead and I want to make these lines tangent with the outer part of the circle. But let's first start by dimensioning this circle. So I'm going to make this, say, 7 inches. And hit escape. Now I'm going to lock in this line with this circle. So I'm gonna start by left clicking on the line, holding down Control, and selecting the circle. Now I've got some other relationships that I can work with. So I want this line to be tangent with the circle. So I'll select tangent, and now the line is going to remain tangent with the circle. Now I want this endpoint to start on the circle, so I can just simply drag it over until it's coincident with the circle, and now I've got the relationship with the coincident relation with the circle. I can do the same thing with this line down here. I can make it coincident with this point here, and then add in the tangent relation. Now I'm going to go ahead and close off this contour like so. Do trim, get rid of this extra junk here that I don't need. Now I'm not quite done yet. I still need to fully constrain this. This line is able to move about. Same thing with this end condition. But let's try some other ways in which I can fully constrain it. So first I'm going to start by giving a dimension to this top line here. Let's just make that 7. Now I could put a vertical relation with this line, or I can go ahead and I can add in a perpendicular relation. So I can left click on this line, hold down Control, select this line here, and I've got the option to add in a perpendicular relation. So let's take a look at what else is showing. So we've got collinear. What collinear does is it puts two lines in line with each other. Perpendicular makes two lines perpendicular with each other, and parallel will put two lines parallel with each other. Let's click on perpendicular. That'll fully constrain our sketch. Let's go ahead and delete that and go over one or two more relations. So let's go ahead and put in a line here and a line going up this way. So I can also add in angle dimensions. So I'll go ahead and add in a dimension here, make that 5. I'll make this 5 as well. But now I want to add in a dimension for this angle right here. So I'll click here, and I'll click on this line, and I'm able to add in the dimensions. So I want it to be, let's say, 150, and I've now got a 150-degree angle. Now the last relation I'm going to go over in this video is going to be very useful and powerful relation. It's called symmetry. So let's go ahead and delete this. So we use the first what the symmetry requires is it requires first a line of symmetry. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a center line. And I'm just going to mouse over the origin. You're going to see that it's guessing that I want it to be vertical with this origin point, which is correct. Left click, and I'm just going to drag a line all the way through. It'll snap to go through the origin. That's what I want. That's going to be my line of symmetry for what I'm about to create. So I'm just going to create a simple shape. Let's just make it say a T shape. So I'm going to draw over, draw down, over, down, over, up, over, and close. So now let's go about making this into a proper T shape. So I want to start adding in symmetry relations between certain lines. So this line and this line, I want to have a symmetric relation between. So I'm going to left click on the line, left click on the other line, and then I'm going to click on the line of symmetry, all while holding on Control. Now you're going to notice the symmetric relation popping up. I'll click on that, and it's going to add in the symmetric relation. Hit OK. I'll do the same thing for this line here. Hold on Control, select this line, and select this line. And I'll add in the symmetric relation, just like that. Now I want to go ahead and add in a relation that puts this line and this line in line with each other. So I'll make use of the collinear relation. So I'm going to left click on this line, hold down Control, and select this line, click on collinear, and that'll put those two lines in line with each other. So let's go ahead and add in some dimensions and get this thing fully dimensioned. So I'll select this line, make this 5. I'm going to select this line, make this 1.75. And I'm going to make this line, make that 2. Now I've got a couple more blue lines here, so I click on this, see what dimension I need. So I just click on this, drag it. I'm noticing that it's moving up and down. I need to put some kind of dimension here. So I'll click Smart Dimension, select this, and I'll add in 2.7. So I'm not quite there yet. So if I notice, I click on this line, it moves up and down because I'm still not fully constrained into the origin. So I could add in dimension between this line and the origin that'll get us fully constrained, or I could just drag this line upwards by left clicking on it, dragging it upwards, and have it intersect the origin. It's not going to let me do that, so I'm going to go ahead and manually enter in the coincident relation. So I'm going to left click the line, hold down Control, select the origin, and I'm going to select coincident. And that fully constrains my sketch. So that'll do it for this video. If you like what you're seeing so far, go ahead and leave me a like. And if you want to see more content like this, go hit the subscribe button. And we'll see you in the next video. Later.